The sun was setting over the city when Richard Hall, a self-made millionaire and single father, finally turned his car into the long driveway of his mansion. He hadn't been home in nearly 2 months. Business trips, meetings, and deals had kept him away. But tonight, something told him he needed to come home early. He missed his son, Ethan, terribly. The boy had just turned 9, a sweet, gentle kid who loved drawing and music more than video games or gadgets. Richard had hired a nanny, Clara, a woman in her mid-30s, to care for Ethan while he was away. She came highly recommended, polite, professional, and experienced, according to the agency. But when Richard entered the house that evening, the first thing he noticed was silence. No cartoons playing, no laughter, no music. Just the faint sound of a mop sliding across the floor. "Ethan," he called out softly, setting his briefcase down. No answer. He followed the sound to the living room, and what he saw made his heart stop. There was Ethan, his small frame trembling as he struggled to push a heavy vacuum cleaner across the marble floor. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His tiny hands were red and rough, gripping the handle too tightly. "Ethan," Richard shouted, rushing forward. "What are you doing?" The boy froze, dropping the vacuum handle in fear. His eyes widened. "Dad," he stammered, his voice shaky. I'm sorry, I didn't finish yet." "Finish what?" Richard asked, kneeling down beside him. Ethan looked around nervously, as if afraid someone might hear. "Clara said I had to clean the whole house before she comes back from the salon. If I don't, she won't give me dinner." Richard's chest tightened. "What? She said what?" Ethan hesitated. "She said I'm useless if I don't help her. She says, boys should work for their food." For a moment, Richard couldn't speak. His jaw clenched, his fists shaking. He'd hired that woman to care for his son, not to turn him into a servant. He gently took Ethan's hand. "Son, you don't ever have to do that again. You hear me?" Ethan nodded, tears streaming down his cheeks. "She gets mad when I sit on the couch. She says I'm spoiled." Richard felt a wave of rage build inside him. He looked around. The once tidy home looked different. The furniture was rearranged, there were piles of laundry, and the fridge was nearly empty. It looked like Clara had been living comfortably, while his son suffered. He led Ethan to the kitchen, made him a sandwich, and sat beside him as he ate hungrily. "Ethan, tell me everything," Richard said softly. "From the beginning." The boy took a shaky breath. "After you left, she started shouting a lot. She made me clean the floors, wash her clothes, and polish her shoes. She said she'd tell you I was bad if I didn't. I didn't want you to be mad at me." Richard's throat burned. "I would never be mad at you, Ethan. Never." Then Ethan added something that made his father's blood run cold. "She talks on the phone a lot," he whispered. "She tells her friend that you're too busy to care. She says she'll make this house hers one day." Richard froze. That was no nanny. That was a manipulative opportunist, maybe even worse. At that moment, the sound of high heels echoed through the hall. Clara had returned. Her perfume entered the room before she did. She smiled smugly, sunglasses perched on her head, a shopping bag dangling from her hand. "Oh, Mr. Hall," she exclaimed, pretending to be surprised. "You're home early." Richard rose slowly, apparently, just in time. Part 2. The truth exposed. Clara's smile faltered for a moment but quickly returned. "Ethan, what are you doing sitting there? Did you finish cleaning like I asked?" Richard's eyes darkened. "He's done cleaning. For the rest of his life." Clara blinked, trying to maintain composure. "Oh, sir, I only asked him to help a little. He enjoys keeping busy, you know how children are." "I saw him scrubbing the floor until his hands bled," Richard interrupted sharply. "He told me you've been starving him, humiliating him, treating him like a servant. Is that how you care for children?" Clara's smile vanished completely now. Her voice grew defensive. "He's exaggerating. You know how spoiled he is. You've been gone for weeks, someone had to teach him discipline." "Discipline," Richard said, his voice trembling with fury. "You call abuse discipline?" Ethan flinched at his father's tone, and Richard quickly softened his voice when he looked back at his son. "Go upstairs, Ethan. Pack your things. You're not staying here another minute with her." Ethan hesitated but nodded, running upstairs. The moment he was gone, Richard turned back to Clara. His expression was pure steel now. "I'm calling the agency. You're finished." "Oh, really?" she sneered. "Do you think anyone will believe a little boy's story over mine? You're a workaholic father who leaves his child alone for months. I'll tell them you made me work like a maid, that you neglected your son. Richard took a step closer, lowering his voice. I have security cameras, Clara. Hidden ones. You really think I'd leave my house, and my son, unprotected? Her face turned pale. You're bluffing, she muttered. Am I? Richard said calmly. He picked up his phone and tapped a button. A video began to play, footage from the living room camera. There was Clara, yelling at Ethan, throwing a mop near his feet, calling him lazy and useless. Another clip showed her sitting on the couch eating snacks while Ethan scrubbed the floor behind her. Clara's mouth dropped open. You can't use that. That's illegal. Oh, it's very legal, Richard said coldly. Because it's my house. And you're about to explain all of this to the police. She backed away, panic flooding her face. Please, Mr. Hall, wait, I didn't mean to, I just thought. Thought what? He snapped. That you could bully a child because his father wasn't home. That you could steal from me, control him, break his spirit. Tears began to stream down her face. I'm sorry, please, I'll leave quietly, I won't tell anyone. You're not going anywhere until the cops arrive, Richard said firmly. Within minutes, the police were at the door. Clara was arrested for child neglect, psychological abuse, and theft. The evidence on camera sealed her fate. As she was led away, she looked back at Richard and Ethan, her eyes full of shame and fear. That night, Richard tucked Ethan into bed for the first time in months. The boy looked peaceful, but there was still a shadow of fear in his eyes. Dad, Ethan whispered, are you going to leave again? Richard sat beside him and took his hand. Not for a while, buddy. I promise. I didn't know what was happening, but I do now. And I'll make sure you're safe, always. Ethan smiled faintly. Can we go to the park tomorrow? Just us. Richard nodded. We'll do that, and maybe some ice cream after. Ethan giggled softly, the first real laugh in weeks. Okay, deal. Richard kissed his forehead. Sleep, champ. You're home now. No one will ever hurt you again. He turned off the light and quietly stepped out of the room, pausing by the doorway. Watching his son peacefully drift into sleep, he felt tears fill his eyes. He had all the money in the world, but tonight, he realized that nothing was more valuable than being present for the one person who truly needed him.